For a while now, I've just been seeing all these posts on Instagram of just these kids in Philly just mobbing the streets, you know, with big old crews. Like the One Way Crew, the Show Out Boys, and just all these kids are just killing it on the streets, just doing mad wheelies. And man, they just have so many followers and stuff. So I figured, man, I want to get out to Philly. I want to check these guys out. For like a week before I came out to Philly, everyone was putting the whole ride out, the Philly ride out, on blast. You know, it was all over social media, and it was just kind of spreading like wildfire. And sure enough, man, I made it out to Philadelphia. And when we got to the meetup spot, and there was just hundreds of dudes there, hundreds of guys and kids just milling about in this parking lot, riding around, doing wheelies and circles and stuff. But it wasn't just all the guys that were there on bikes, you know. There was about 40 freaking cops there as well, you know. There's cop cars, cop vans, cops on bikes, police officers walking around. And I was like, oh shit, are they gonna shut this thing down? And when I rolled up, you know, the cops were being cool. You know, the cops were just hanging out and talking to people, and the cops were just like, well, hey, you know, we heard about this ride. You know, we just want to kind of make it safe and protect you guys and protect the city and protect everyone around this ride. You know, that they just said, you know, just try to, you know, obey the traffic laws as much as you can, and just try to be orderly, and, you know, we'll support this ride. You know, they said this is a lot of riders, and everyone's kind of doing the right things. They're on bikes, you know, everyone's just gonna have fun. Just try to be safe. You know, that was the thing they said. You know, so the cops were really, really cool, and they really supported it.
My job is to keep y'all all alive. Because if you get hit by one of these folks, I figure that'd be easiest for you guys.
Right? When the ride finally left and rolled out, it was just like a party on wheels. Everyone was just so hyped. We were like 300 people deep, you know, and there was cop cars in the front, cop cars in the back, police officers on bikes, all, you know, filtered out through the ride, you know, and they were just trying to keep it orderly, you know, and there was people thanking the cops for coming out, you know, there was no real beef, you know, and I think, if anything, that really strengthened the bond, you know, from, you know, the bike life movement, the kids in Philly, you know, and the cops, you know, kind of made a cool little bond for sure. It was definitely cool that D-Blox came down from New York. I mean, he's just like a freaking street legend to these kids.
Oh, the camera! Oh, let me get it.
We went down Washington Avenue, we zigzagged through some streets, we went down South Street, we headed over to Market Street, we rode around City Hall, across Broad Street, JFK Boulevard. We even made it to the Art Museum, and of course we all went up there, stood on the steps, took some group photos, we even rode down the steps, just had a friggin' blast. The bike life movement, I mean, it's real. It's getting bigger and bigger every day. There's so much trouble that kids can get into nowadays, you know, and for the kids in the bike life movement to be putting their time and effort and focus into riding bikes and trying to do wheelies and battling with their friends and riding with their friends and just getting together and having fun, it's just such a positive thing for the kids to be doing, you know. And I've been around BMX for, you know, decades, but I've never seen a movement like this. And what's unique is these kids, you know, a lot of the guys, you know, riding right now in this bike life movement, they're not your typical BMX rider. They're not racing, they're not jumping at the dirt jumps, they're not riding the skate parks, they're just riding in the streets, you know, they're just doing wheelies, and it's kind of cool because they challenge themselves with different wheelie tricks and different combo tricks, you know. It's kind of like old school freestyle when it first started, you know. These kids don't know about BMX, they don't follow the BMX trends, they're just having fun on their BMX bikes. It's just super cool. In every city or within every crew, you know, there's just always one kid that just kills it more than everyone else. When anyone talks about the bike life movement in Philadelphia, you know, you can't really talk about it without mentioning One Way Corey. You know, he pretty much holds it down for Philly. Coming out from California to Philly, you know, I wasn't sure what to expect. I had no freaking idea, you know, that there'd be literally over 300 dudes on the ride, and I definitely had no idea that it was going to be escorted by the cops. You know, that was pretty wild, you know, to roll up and just see all of the police officers there, you know, and it was just such a successful, you know, fun night, you know, and we were riding all together as one. We all were just having fun. The energy during the ride was just so positive. I mean, it was just so crazy because there was just like literally guys from New York, guys from New Jersey, guys from Philly. You know, it was successful, and it was chaotic, and it was crazy, and it was exciting. You know, it was just wild. It was just a fun time. A couple of years ago, people didn't know what the word bike life meant. You know, it didn't even mean anything to them. But now, you know, when people hear bike life movement or the wheelie cruise, you know, people know, you know, especially the people in the cities, they just know like, oh yeah, I see a ton of those dudes just rolling by. A bunch of kids on BMX bikes, BMX cruisers. They're just coming by in big packs doing wheelies and stuff, you know? So it's getting out there. More and more people are knowing about this movement. The bike life movement, I mean, it's just now starting to catch fire. You know, give it another year or two, and I think it's really, really going to take over.